Hey out there yet again, all you crazy music fans. You know what time it is. Time to head down to the Larimer Lounge for their local 303 event, and I'm going to be asking some local bands some interesting questions, and if they're lucky, they'll be winning a free copy of Nick Cicada's greatest hits on tape. Let's get right into the action.
Asking interesting questions, asking interesting questions, asking interesting questions, asking interesting questions.
We are here with
Place for Owls.
Edwina, Maben.
I'm Joe.
Michael.
of the Patient Zero. So,
Bam, from People Like Me.
question 1. While composing a song, what ideas or philosophies do you draw inspiration from?
Authenticity and optimism, definitely. Even when writing about sad, tender subjects, I try and keep the message a little bit on the optimistic side.
So we usually start with an idea that our singer comes up with, and then we honestly, like, it's kind of a painstaking process, but we will literally try every idea that comes into our heads until we come to an agreement on something.
Exhaust every angle, basically.
Yep. If it reminds us of a certain band or a certain song or a certain just genre in general, we'll start running with ideas and whatever makes sense, and then we'll literally run the song 1,000 times before we actually play it in front of anybody. So it's a bit of a process, man, but I would just say, like, whatever idea CJ comes in the room with, he'll be playing it a certain way. Maybe we'll swing it if we're feeling something different.
Honestly, it's not consistent. I think whatever is in front of me or whatever I'm thinking about is usually what I start writing about.
I like to think about the reality of death and the fact that it's coming for us all, and we all have to sort of reconcile ourselves to that fact. So I kind of start from that emotional place and then see where it takes me.
I just write stuff down whenever they inspire me, and so it's like usually just like a snippet of something. I'll often like steal lines from other people, or it could just be something that pops in my head, or an image, and then I'll usually build around that philosophies. I don't know. I've been into existentialism lately, I guess.
That's a good one. All right.
One of my top 5 philosophies.
Good one.
Question 2. What's the most reliable piece of equipment you use?
I have for 17 years had a Mexican made Telecaster, a Fender Telecaster, and it is reliable in the way that, like, mashed potatoes are reliable. It's not gonna be necessarily the most shining or exciting, but it's gonna get you full at the end of the day, I think.
I have a saxophone that I got a very long time ago to play in like junior high band, and I played it in college, and then didn't play it for years until this band.
And it
I
still
played
works.
for exactly one song, and it still works.
My guitar, my acoustic guitar.
And why is that?
Something that you can just pick up anytime and use for whatever, for ideas or just getting a quick recording down. You don't have to, I feel like the most setup you have to do is just tuning it, so.
Right, electric is a lot more,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Probably my laptop, because that's where I write all the lyrics down, and that's where I can listen to all the songs and practice my instruments on it.
It's very reliable. What model is it?
It's just a Mac.
Just a Mac.
Just
okay.
a Mac.
For anyone who's wondering out there,
I think that would have to be our van.
Yeah.
or van.
Yeah,
We got a pretty wicked deal on our tour van.
We've had some pretty bad luck over the years with touring vehicles and band vans and stuff, so we, about 4 years ago now, we bit the bullet and took out a sizable loan and bought a really nice van, and the thing is just, it's awesome. It's like floating on the road.
And it's never failed you.
And it's never failed us yet. We've only had one minor problem, honestly, in 4 years, and it's just, she's our baby, man.
Question 3. What are your thoughts on the merits of analog sound reproduction as opposed to digital sound reproduction?
I think that, digital's definitely easier. I think it tends to be cleaner, but like we all, I think producers always find themselves wanting to like mess things up again, and so and that's what analog did, just like very naturally. So it's like we got to saturate it. It's like, oh, well, that's what the tubes did, or like we gotta make it like sound wobbly. It's like that's what tape does. Like,
You'd say that any producer should probably have some analog equipment on hand if they
I
want
don't know about that. Like at least an emulator,
Okay.
It just have the option to kind of mess things up.
I think it's awesome. A lot more people are becoming collectors, and
I've always been a fan of just having a tangible object as far as the music collecting goes. So it brings the fan and the collector a little bit closer to the artist. So I'm a huge fan. Rise of streaming over the last decade. Those tangible objects are going to be where our money comes from too. So in a professional aspect, it's going to be very helpful for the artist.
Would you argue that analog sound generally sounds better, or?
You know, that's always been a back and forth with aficionados and collectors alike. But I think I wouldn't use the term better. It's different. It's more.
It's just different.
You know, it's the analog sound is just it's just different. It's nostalgic, I think, and that's why a lot of people cling to it.
And it's recognizable.
Exactly.
Right.
That is a great question. Ryan, my bandmate, would definitely better answer that.
Well, like MP3 versus vinyl, which do you listen to more?
I think both have really, important qualities to it. I like an old-fashioned vinyl for that kind of rustic sound, and then I like MP3s for listening in the car and, in a quick fix.
You like vinyl because the crackle? Or?
Oh, yeah, you gotta have the crackle. Yeah.
In a way, I feel like you have to be like a certain level of establishment to even be able to have like that opportunity for yourself. Right now, a lot of the work I've done has just been digital because it's most accessible to me right now. But I would love to actually have more opportunities to get sound via analog than just digital.
So you'd say that, like, if you have a release on analog, you've kind of made it.
You might have more connections or establishment that might help you get to that gear.
Okay.
Versus like a DIY indie artist.
Right.
Sorry, what's the question?
Question 4. What elements do you believe make a song sound fulfilling?
Personally, I like to be surprised, regardless of the genre. If it's something that's predictable, I start to daydream.
Lose some interest, yeah. I would say for me, it's just the initial melody. Something's got to catch me like right away. And then having so many people get away with just, excuse my language, just terrible. I'll also say terrible lyrics. So people that are good writers can put together an idea.
Hook is important.
Hook's important, yeah. But just somebody who's actually saying something, with their lyrics.
I was gonna say like some sort of like fullness to it, but I don't even know if I agree with that. I would say there is a way to tell when there is just like really strong storytelling that I think can really carry a song. I've always been attracted to lyrics first, more than music. I started with poetry before learning music. So I think because I gravitate towards lyrics, my favorite songs have always been the ones that have good stories and that you can follow along easily.
Like concept albums, or? Okay.
I mean, I like resolving to the 1 or the 5.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That's like the, have you heard the legend? It was like Bach's wife to like get him to come downstairs for like meals would play an unresolved cadence, and he could not bear to leave it unresolved.
So just play the first couple.
He would like, and he would run downstairs and like play the one.
Probably the tone, when you can feel the music and you can feel the mood of the song through the lyrics or through a heavier guitar in one spot or a drum fill in another spot, like all those kind of little important details that make up of it, that make you feel it.
Plus, in the
Question 5. Why do you enjoy performing music here in Denver specifically?
In the last couple of years, I think I've been lucky enough to be in a couple different spaces where I got to meet a lot of community members, and at this point it's become fun to see familiar faces and just reconnect with people and check in, especially post-pandemic.
Man, the scene is so rich and dense. There are just so many bands to check out. It's an awesome community. You really, you can't really go wrong, man, honestly. And there are only actually really, honestly, a few venues to host all these bands, so it's just like there's something happening all the time.
It's a good scene too. Everybody's really supportive. We can play constantly here, honestly, and still, do pretty well. So Denver's a great scene.
I've been in the scene for about 6 years now, and the pandemic kind of hit it hard, but it seems like everybody is really ready to get out and connect with each other, and that's what I love about it the most, is connecting with the crowd and meeting people, because Denver's a cool place to do that?
I don't actually. I think Denver has some really, really lovely people and lovely musicians, but I think there's a culture. Okay, so music fans love going to shows.
Right.
But there's a culture of your casual music fan would rather go to Red Rocks to see the Lumineers than see a local band. I think that's profound. Like, it doesn't have within the larger community in Denver. There's going to be some like real heads who love local music.
Right.
But within the larger community in Denver, I think folks are way too impressed by what's on Top 40 radio than they are by what artists are actually making sort of from the ground up.
It's very honest. So you'd argue that the Denver music scene is mostly focused on like whatever's at Red Rocks.
I would say among the mainstream of you meet someone who works at a tech company in Denver, what music are they going? It's either EDM or sort of jam band stuff that happens at Red Rocks.
That's a hot take, but yeah, maybe. This is the first place I've ever played like live music in, so besides concert band.
Here is your free cassette tape.
Hell yeah,
there you go.
thank you.
Nick Cicada's Greatest Hits cassette
Nice.
tape.
Nice,
It's a fantastic mixtape. Thank you for the fantastic answers there. Here's your free cassette tape.
Oh my
Let's
God.
go!
Nicholas Records presents.
Nick Cicada's Greatest Hits.
Oh my
This
God.
is sick!
This is you?
Fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, I love it.
All right, people. Well, that does it for tonight's exciting episode of Asking Interesting Questions. The Patient Zeros really knocked it out of the flippin' park tonight. And thank you to all the bands who answered the questions. As always, they got Nick Cicada's Greatest Hits on tape, and you can get that very same tape by sending $10 to Nicholas Cicada, 1424 Columbine Street, number 1, Denver, Colorado 80206. Until next time, stay hip to the Denver music scene, stay tuned in, and stay whacked out. I'll see you in the next installment of Asking Interesting Questions. Pizzazz.
Asking interesting questions. Asking interesting questions. Asking interesting questions. Asking interesting questions.